something I wanted to highlight that I think is pretty cool. On Wednesday, Formula One and F1 Academy announced that as of the 2024 season, all 10 F1 teams will have one driver and their livery on one car competing in the all-female racer series. Do we think, Laurence, that this is another step to having a female driver in the future on the F1 grid?
Yeah, it absolutely is. So the idea of the F1 Academy is that it does give that first step into car racing for young women who have come out of go-karts, have shown potential, but it's often tricky to go from that karting stage where things are a little bit more equal into cars, because there's a number of factors that work against women, just kind of basic stuff like seating position, things like that. All these junior series cars are based around the male anatomy, so there's a lot of work to be done to be able to give women a better chance of making it up there. But it's also about kind of highlighting the talent that potentially can come through from go-karting, and also providing inspiration. So if you have a relatively high profile all-female championship, young girls who are watching on TV can say to their parents, oh, look, how about we go down to the go-kart track and I have a go in one of these go-karts, and it goes from there. And really, I think the biggest barrier at the moment still for a woman making it to F1 is pure numbers. It's the fact that if you go to a go-kart track, I've been to a couple of events this year, and the percentage of girls, it's growing. There's more than there used to be, but it's still very small. And so if you have 100 go-karters at a go-kart track on a Sunday, all with the potential to move up the motorsport ladder, and just picking the number out the air, but 96 are boys and 4 are girls, then obviously your chances of one of those 4 girls making it, just pure numbers, it's not as great. Perhaps one of those will be exceptionally talented, and they will, but it's about kind of raising the profile of women driving in motorsport and building it up. And I think having this connection to the F1 teams, where the F1 teams are going to go out and select and no doubt do a huge amount of scouting across karting and other junior categories, and finding the very best young women to come into this ladder towards Formula One. That's a huge thing, because once you have that behind you, the teams are very competitive, so they're all going to want to go and get the best young female talent to put in their car. And then secondly, there's a huge amount of support that an F1 team can offer, in many ways. Even if it isn't a money thing, there's a huge amount they can do in terms of preparing a young racing driver, male or female, for the steps ahead. And so that, and then having the liveries of the car, which I think is a very nice touch in F1 Academy. There are 5 teams in F1 Academy, each run 3 drivers. So it's not exactly like Ferrari are running a Formula F1 Academy team. They're just putting their driver and their livery on it. But even so, those teams that are in that category, some of them have links already to F1 teams. So that's a positive thing, where those relationships are going to grow as well. And also, they're all very professional teams. They're the ones that run F2 cars, F3 cars, and so on. So I think it's being done the right way. I really like W Series as a concept, but I think some of the business model behind it was just hard to know how it was going to work, how it was going to progress. And while I'm very sad to see W Series ultimately struggle to make it into another year, I think the way that F1's going about it with F1 Academy and all the support and everything, I think for young female drivers, it is definitely the best route into the motorsport ladder, and hopefully one day, a few years down the line, into F1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great they've got skin in the game now, the F1 teams. And hopefully, obviously the end goal is to get a driver on the grid, but I think if they're all affiliated with drivers, at some point, I think they've got to go through the junior categories first to get there. But you'd hope that you could see, Haas running, a driver in free practice, and then that starts to become more common, more regular, and then, it all, moves towards that. So yeah, really positive step. And I'm actually pretty impressed with what Formula One's doing with that academy. They took a bit of flack for not broadcasting it early on, but I think they've just tried to get the building blocks in place for that. And, they didn't want the series to be under massive scrutiny from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they're just letting it kind of grow organically with these steps being added as they go. So pretty cool to see. And I think in a few years' time, I think it's going to be a really, really strong series. I've heard rumblings that it will be joining the support bill of F1 in the future. That's the plan down the line. So you have F2, F3, and Formula Academy as part of a race
Awesome.
weekend. So if you had a ticket, you can see all of those things happening, which obviously is a huge thing if you're a fan as well. So yeah, a lot of things to look forward to with that.
Yeah, I should just clarify as well. So Formula Academy is essentially like Formula 4 level. So it is that level where you come out of go-karts. If the girls will win it, they'll be looking to move into Formula 3 and Formula 2 and race against the boys before they get to Formula 1. So yeah, that's where it stands. And yeah, and it is already planned. They've said in press releases to be on the support bill for next year. So I think it's the right way to go with an all-female series.
I heard the rumblings in a press release. You're right. I heard it in an official announcement. I said it and I was like, that might be official, but I couldn't work it out. So
you've always got to be a bit careful. There's the stuff you hear and then you're like, can I say that?
Especially after a few races in fairly quick succession. You're like, my brain's full of some stuff I've heard and I can say, some stuff that we hear and you're like, can't say that, it was off record, but it's interesting. So yeah, that was good to get that out.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.